Kristen checks Mitch about his Mitchisms,
And there are quite a few, aren't there?
aka an itch to be a Mitch.
Oh, hell, we stepping on some toes now, ain't we? Welcome to Cliff Alerts. Today we're going to be talking about Lifetime Network's reality-based TV series, Married at First Sight, season number 15, episode number 12.
But before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe. Please click that like button and click your notification button as well so you know when we upload new videos.
Is that how you really want to say it?
That itch is real.
Yeah, this episode begins with Mitch reaching out to his friend Shayna.
Yeah, and the reason he reached out to Shayna is because Mitch and Kristen was having an intimate moment, and Mitch went into his Mitchisms, which is making jokes when they were doing the do. And not a whole lot of people out there is going to appreciate that. It throws them off their game, and if they have some issue about self-esteem, it's going to just make everything go south.
Yeah, apparently Kristen didn't take too kindly to it, or was
No,
caught
she
off
did
guard
not.
by it.
No, she did not.
And when Mitch decided to share this bit of information with Shayna, she said, yeah, I would probably feel the same way.
Right. They're still new to the game. They don't know each other like that just yet. And the intimate time of a couple has to be developed like everything else.
Yeah, now that Mitch understands that wifey didn't really like it too much, it's got him feeling a certain kind of way.
It's a no-go zone right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be a no-go zone for a month. Kristen said that she wants to know Mitch on an emotional level and put that sexual thing aside for right now. Mitch is not going to like it because, he likes a warm place to put it. But it's not going to happen for Kristen, and that's a warning sign. That's a flag. Things that come out of his mouth is often not very sexy and not appealing to her, and it turns her off.
And he's got to pay more attention to what comes out of his mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah, no question about it. Then Dr. Pierre pays Mitch and Kristen a visit at their apartment to kind of check up on them and give them an assignment, right?
Right, and Dr. Pierre this week is working with the couples and doing an intimacy and trust situation, and I believe they broke down what had happened between them, and that Kristen decided that she is gonna hold off on that intimacy piece right now and try to reach him on an emotional level.
Yeah, and one of the exercises that Dr. Pia had them play is a game of questions, right? And one of the questions, the initial questions that was asked was, who is your childhood hero or heroine?
Right, and Kristen said that her childhood hero was her mother. Her mother is a Cuban immigrant. She came here with less than nothing, and she was able to work diligently, and now she's in a better position. She has success and all that good stuff that comes with it. And Kristen was very proud of her mother.
Absolutely. And you could see it was radiating from her.
And what does Mitch do?
He pulls a Mitch's.
The itch to be a Mitch. Mitch comes out and tells Kristen that she's not responding properly to the question being asked
By Dr. Pierre.
Dr. Pierre. And of course, Kristen is irritated to the point where she starts crying. She said that, this dude is low some. He can't get it. He can't listen to a story and say, okay, that's a good story and move on. He always got to pause to criticize her about what comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, she's wondering why he's challenging her on that
Right.
instead of just
And
offering
it's her
support.
personal
Right.
story.
That was her answer to the question.
Exactly.
So
And
what is wrong with that?
I have no
Mitch,
idea. She starts crying because she said she didn't have to share that.
Right.
And
then by that time she's upset. So then he's got to backtrack the remark and say, well, I apologize and acknowledge it. sometimes he gets in his own damn head's way, and I'm like,
Well, I think Mitch got to know from this point he's 40 years old or
41 or something like that.
41. He should know that sometimes he gets in his own way.
Right.
So, and Kristen has checked him a time or two regarding what comes out of his mouth. So he should have some sort of awareness going forward.
Mm-hmm.
He cut him off because the stuff coming out of his mouth is not pleasurable, not tolerable to her. His brain got to tell him when he opens his mouth, dude, just nod your head. Just say yes and thank you.
Yeah, guys have this thing, we're thinking with one head and not the other.
Oh my! But even the other head is gonna tell him, hey, you stopping my flow.
Right.
You're interrupting my game.
Right.
What is going on?
Right.
And he don't want that other head to revolt.
Right.
Because it's not gonna be pretty.
So he's basically, the other head is telling him, hey, look, you gotta get things straightened out. Huh?
That's what I'm saying. And he's messing up.
He's messing it up, y'all.
So she gets upset, and Dr. Pierre is looking at her and trying to console her, and he says he's sorry. But one thing about Mitch, once you check him, he takes correction quickly, or go to that space where he apologizes for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And because he does that, I'm thinking that it's not a far reach for him to have an awareness now of what he may be thinking, and to try to edit the stuff that comes out of his mouth.
Well said. I can't add to that because, like you said, 41, he should have learned this by now, but he's certainly at a place in his life right now where he ought to know better.
Right.
So if you know better, do better.
It's like you're at a job and your employer or your boss talking some smack. Some ish.
Right.
And in your head you have an animation reel going across your forehead with the
response.
The what you really want to say.
Right, the response.
But you don't. Because you're aware
of your surroundings and who you're talking to and all
you're
that.
aware that you don't want to mess up your back.
Right.
So that puts a kibosh on any kind of animation going on in your head, because that's wisdom right there.
Man, you tell the truth about the situation right about now.
So Mitch gotta understand that he gotta apply some level of wisdom and stop being a Mitch.
Right. Better decision making, bro. Check it out.
Mitch needs to tighten up because this stuff is getting old.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Then they get on the topic of children.
Right.
Children, and I think Mitch says that and/or feels that he believes that their children would be well loved and be really great children.
Then we go to, I believe they're on the beach.
Yes, yeah. And they're practicing Dr. Pia's exercise that she's given to them for this week, right?
And they're talking about their sexual life. Back at the apartment, and they're touching each other. Another exercise to find out what is their erotic zones are. So they're doing a number of things with oil and touch and what have you, and they seem to be having a good time.
Yeah, and Mitch says something that's kind of peculiar. He likes being in control, but he also likes not being in control. So it's like he's on both sides of the fence at the same time.
Well, I could understand that, but it's still, he needs to articulate that a little
better.
Than how he did it.
Yeah.
I imagine, he likes certain things for her to take charge of. That's what he was saying.
Okay.
But when it's his time to go, he likes that control.
I got it.
Hence him liking the doggy style situation.
Right. I got
because that puts him into control.
Right. And let me make this one quick point that Kristen made in the course of their doing these exercises. She said that she wants Mitch and his emotional intimacy to match his physical intimacy towards her.
Right.
Okay, because he's not very consistent right now, and that's one of her issues.
Right. That's why she cut him off.
Yeah.
But he can grow from where he is.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and hopefully he starts down that path.
Right.
You know?
So they meet up with the couples.
Right.
And
the ladies kikiing it up on the beach, right?
Right. And Mitch is surprised that Miguel shows up with a fake baby.
McGindy.
Yep. And Mitch is saying, my God, he had no idea that Miguel and Lindy had moved so far forward that they were now practicing with a fake baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mitch does his Mitchisms. He's not too sure about what he is going to do. And again, that's a Mitchism. That's a red flag for Mitch. How many weeks in are we?
Oh, we're actually doing the countdown.
We're doing a countdown.
Right, we're at like 16 days or something left before decision day. That's a little over 2 weeks.
And
Come on, man.
I don't know about Mitch. And then on Kristen's point, she tells the ladies that she enforced a lockdown of Miss Galore, and she wanted Mitch to give her a little more emotional content, and she is questioning that decision because she thinks maybe she's gone in too hard and too fast, and she didn't need to set all these rules for him so hard. That she does not want to push him away.
Right, but at the same time, one of the ladies, i.e. Lindy, kind of weighs in on what rules maybe should be set.
Right, and Lindy basically said she gotta, tell Mitch, teach Mitch,
yeah,
not to be a itch. So when he says, I do not know, I still don't know about our situation, he's telling the camera that.
That's head scratching to me, but at the same time, what is very clear to me is that sometimes at any given time, Mitch does not know what to say.
Wow.
So I'm just saying maybe he's got to really kind of do some work, put some work in on that end, so that less of those occasions kind of get him to a point where he's like really having to backtrack and apologize because of something thoughtless that he may have said that reached his mouth before it actually reached his brain.
And while he seems teachable,
and willing to learn,
he tends to go back and forth pretty quickly.
You know what? I believe
it's confusing and frustrating when you watch him in action.
He
goes forward and then goes back.
You know why I believe that happens? I believe that happens because Mitch is reverting back to a place and or space that's comfortable and or familiar to him.
Well, of course.
And because of that, he's probably conflicted because he knows that he can't stay there.
Well, after knowing what he knows, this is the point. After you know what you know, it's gonna be hardcore to go back into that.
Agreed, but he's
spot.
He's calling him. He's calling him. He's calling him. So he's listening, and it's like he's being tugged by both sides.
Well, that back there has no accountability and no growth.
You're right, but it's familiar
Forward
to him.
is some growth, some accountability, and a better full-blown person.
Right, and a better marriage as a result of that.
So
I get it.
he got to figure it out.
Yes,
he got to make a choice.
He's got to make a choice.
Because as you say, it's calling him, and he wants to be the itch to be a Mitch. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all it needs to be said. You ain't got to say no more.